Hi there, this is Reverend Crystal Sage, and I'm the Executive Director of Sister Source Incorporated, which is a nonprofit that empowers the presence, amplifies the voices, and creates connections for Black women, girls, and femmes. And I am assuming you're here because you want to talk about empowerment and how to create Black identity. We're going to talk about literature. We're going to talk about books as a really powerful way to do that. Now, before we continue, I want to remind you that if you become a supporter of PBS because they are defunded, not defeated, you can select a gift if you do a recurring donation. So I did $5 a month and I got to pick this book that says Readers Club and it says my weekend is booked. Now, I'm here in this tent that I have inside the house all year round. We put it up for Christmas and we discovered that it's a great place to sit and read. So I want to talk to you about some books that I recommend, but I want to talk to you about why I recommend them so that you can think what it means to be Black from a small perspective and think about small minds growing big. If you were going to tell your child about bedtime, and you tell them, that, you get that to that phase where you have to start explaining, why are we going to bed? Why, it's night outside, it's dark. Well, what does that mean? That means the sun went down, right? If you're going to tell your child for a walk before bedtime, we're going to get our energy out. We're going to get the energy out. It's a time for calm at night. Well, what's calm? Calm is the opposite of this wiggle fest we're having right now. You see a dog and you say, we have to figure out if that's friendly. What do you mean? Well, friendly is the opposite of, a dog that bites. Those comparisons are how kids make meaning of the world. And so if we're talking about Black identity, I don't think this conversation is being had enough, which is why I'm making this video, but I think it's a mistake to create identity that is opposite of white. Black is not opposite of white. Black is foundational. And so I homeschool. When I talk about history, we start with Africa, where it started. When I talk about the classics to my child, I'm referring to Terence in Africa. I'm referring to those who influenced Socrates and Plato. When I talk about the foundation of medicine, I'm talking about the Hippocratic Oath. I'm talking about the ways that we took medicine from what we've learned in Africa. And I think that sometimes when we go on a journey as grown-ups, we have an identity that's based in comparison or that's based in overcoming. And I think for a few generations, we've thought that the best way to do that when we are in a Black power, Black-centered space is to actively make baby activists. But if we think about Black joy and Black liberation as something that could allow us to just be, we may find younger folk, because Gen Z has a long road ahead of them, we may find younger folks that have more endurance for the distance. A lot of people criticize younger folks. And if you're young and you're watching me, you hear this. If you're Gen Z and you're watching me, you hear this, to where they think that Gen Z doesn't have any stamina or that they're just too weak to fight. They're tired. They're inheriting our tired. You know, as a parent, that if you're upset, your child's going to be upset. You know, as a parent, that if you are not regulated or upset about something, then they can feel it. You don't even have to say anything to them. And they might say, Mommy, what's wrong? Dada, you're sad. And you're thinking, dang, I was really hiding it. But it's infusive. So the thought that the only way to create Black identity, or the thought that the only way to make them understand who they are is to grab this, which I love having books like this. The thought that the only way to create Black identity is to grab books like this, which I love this. I love this book. The thought that the only way to create Black identity is to grab books like this, which Ron's big mission is about him being set in a time, if you can look at the pictures and the way that his hair is, where he can't buy something from a counter from the library, and they say that he's not welcome and someone else had to rent it for him. This is Rob McNair's story. If we think that this is the only way to build identity, then we're not giving space for them to just be and to, my computer's falling, and to create identity in a way that is not as a comparison. It's not light and dark. It's not black and white. Black just is. We are foundational. So let me get this reset up. Okay, are you still moving? Is my computer still moving? No. Okay, cool. Let me show you some of the books that I prefer. And I'm going to tell you why. Books of Black people just being and not being exceptional are important. Beyonce is exceptional. So this is just one I had on the shelf that I thought I would grab because I thought it was really cute. But there are other stories that are on the back. And I want us to focus really deeply as we go through this about what it means to not be in comparison and to only highlight the stories. We only highlight Jackie Robinson. We only highlight Harriet Tubman. We only highlight Martin Luther King, right? Let's go beyond. There's Obama here. There is Harry Belafonte, Kamala Harris is on here, Misty Copeland. And a lot of these little biographies are going to include those things where they're the first and they do this and everything. But I really want us to think deeply about what it means to just grabbing books where people just are. So those are what I'm going to show you last. But in the middle, I'm going to show you another book that's in this category of this exceptional experience. And I actually know Keziah Ridgway. Black Women Do, Leaders of the African Diaspora. So this one shows different people page by page with a wonderful illustration. And it tells you all the things that you can be. It says, or maybe a writer like Maria Reyes, who was one of the few to write about slavery, being the first Black woman in Brazil to publish a novel, was an act of bravery, or a farmer, an activist like Mama Dingo, who was willing to risk her life. She filed court cases and organized to get Dominican farmers their rights. These are important, and I do recommend these, okay? Important takeaway. If you have an attention span that has only lasted 7 minutes, important takeaways. I still do recommend these examples of exceptionalism. However, now I'm going to get into so many more books that are just us being us just being Black, us just being kids. And it's so interesting because this is the other one I was going to talk about in this category, M is for Melanin. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to talk to your child about their melanin. But you know what I also told my kid very early on, before I told them anything about being Black? I told them that their hair protects their head from the sun. And it is beautiful and can be formed into different shapes. So my son's hair is short now. My son had cornrows before, and he's only 7. I told my son that his skin protects him. And he, for a long time, didn't know anything about being Black or white. But when we got to a certain age and he was outside with his friends, we moved from Philly. So we moved to a different area, and there's more white people here. His friends burned in the sun one day, and he came in and he said, "Mom, I'm so thankful for my skin. No comparison needed. They burned and he didn't. I'm thankful for what I have." The comparison, it's not about being better than their skin, but our skin is formulated for it. That's what the sunblock does for white skin. It's to protect it from the sun. And that's what our skin does naturally. And when we get in the sun, we make vitamin D, and we're so healthy that when we don't get sun because of being taught that we don't want to be too dark, we are missing vitamin D, and it can cause health issues. So just saying, it's wonderful to think about these. But now, okay, on to the category that you've been waiting for. I cannot recommend enough to register for Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, because most of the books that I'm going to show you that are this shape came from that, okay? This first one is When You Love a Book, and this is a Black child that is a book is a friend found in all shapes and sizes, a buddy who's bound to be full of surprises. So investigating the love of books, very lovely illustrations. Just a Black child being happy and reading books. So that's the first one. And also, I'm going to put pictures on the bottom of the page. I haven't made this page yet as of me doing this. I've made the whole website too, if you want to check it out. I'm going to add the pictures of the books at the bottom. When the storm comes, what do you do when the clouds roll in, when the wind chimes clang and the weather vanes spin? Let's open it up. Ooh, look at the illustrations. I love this page. I wanted to show you them being Black. Enjoy, but I wanted to show you that page first. So just running outside and enjoying life, and then the storm comes in and they end up playing with some friends and everything. I'll just show you probably in the back. Playing with friends. Okay. Normalize your child seeing themselves in a positive light young, because that creates identity that they can really sink into. A lot of people love this book. My kids have torn the cover off because they read it so much. It is Please Baby Please. And this is actually, let me see if I can read it to you. Spike Lee and I think his wife wrote this together. Because it's Lee and Lee, so I think it's his wife, but I can't. My kids ripped the thing, so I can't get it for you. But either way, I will put this in. Oh, Lewis Lee. That's right. Okay, so Tanya Lewis Lee and Spike Lee. Please, baby, please, and they're just asking baby to go to sleep. And you can see there's a little clock in the corner, so you can start to familiarize your child with the analog clock too, if they're not familiar with that. If they've only seen a digital clock, you can mention that while you're reading. Joy Takes Root. I love this one. This is also from Imagination Library, and my sticker is over top of the back. So it says, can you feel the earth something along with your, I'm not sure what it says on the back. But this one is about rooting plants and connecting with nature. And this is really, really lovely because it shows an elder too. I love to be able to see children with their granny in brown, and not just to think that an old person is an old lady with white hair. We have silver hair or white hair. We are multitudinous in the way that we show up as older people. So this is such a cool representation. I really love this one. Okay. So that's that one. Jonathan and his mommy. I actually found this in a thrift store, and I freaking love this because Jonathan and his mommy go on a walk, and just a black boy joy come through with it. It is so cute and fun. All the stuff they do on their walk, and they next we take bunny hops, hop, 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 hop. Hip hop too sometimes, as we wriggle our noses and wiggle our ears. We look so funny that we end up in tears. I love this one. And if you all are interested, leave a comment. I will read you these, and you can play them for your kid. Like if you just really need a break before bedtime, I could do more videos like actually reading the books if you want. I'm going to talk about this last because there's a series of these. This one is another one that is I think this is another one that's on the list for the Imagination. Yeah, it is Imagination Library. And my son's teacher gave this to him at the end of the school year because he always brought books to school, and she was just like very grateful for that. On Saturday afternoon, Daniel finds a cricket in the shade of the slide. So this is called Daniel Finds a Poem, and this is all the stuff that he finds. That night, moonlight fills Daniel's room. He hears a who learning from his window. He calls to ow, ow. What is poetry? So this was just, I love the illustrations in this one. It is gorgeous, and it's just such a joy to behold. And then this one is The Ring Bearer, and this is an older story. And this is a Dolly Parton's Imagination Library as well. And it's like grainy, the pictures. It's painted in kind of like a stippling watercolor, and they're is it their grandpop and their grandmom is what is getting. Chesson looks at grandpa cheers, mama and Bill cheer to the wedding cheer. Someone is getting married in their family, and they're the ring bearer, and he has a little boy with them. Mama's getting married, and Jackson has an important job today. That's right. I just read the back. So cute. I love this one. Okay. Last one is Ezra Jackson Keats. This is old to have these series of books just talking about just normal stuff. So this one's Ezra's chair. Peter's chair. Peter's the main person. There's another one that Peter learns to whistle, and then Peter in this one is having a baby sister, and he doesn't want her to have his chair because everything starts to get painted pink and purple and things. And he's like, I'm running away, and he goes outside. And this is the new baby. Look at the Mickey baby. Look at that Mickey baby. It's so cute. I super love this. I really love these Ezra Jack Keats books. And I've had a few people, like I think my mom was one of those people who called me and someone was having a new baby and they wanted to start their library and asked me for recommendations, and I sent her that was one of those that you can get multiple of and just get the feel of what it means to explain this. Because for many years, when we were talking about kids learning in school about bias and learning about race, people say their brains are so tender and it just really shatters their worldview. And the thought and the research and the argument is always that it shatters the worldview that we know as early as 5 years old, as early as maybe even 4 years old, that white child can experience bias at home and hold biases with them that create biases for the black children in their classroom, touching their hair, asking why their skin is different. I have some people in my life that asked me when my child was little why the bottom of our feet are white. And I said, white? Oh, like this? Oh, honey, this is just the lighter brown. But they felt that the bottom of our hands and feet were a different color, were their skin. And it never, in all of my years, I was probably 30 at this time. In all of my 30 years, I never thought about the fact that their whole body is the same color, top and bottom for their feet, and that our feet are a different color because we don't get sun down there. So those types of things can make your kid feel like a pariah, or, and I still stand by what I said, that if we are thinking about how unhealthy it is for them to do that to our kids, and we still are not answering the question of how unhealthy it is for all of our kids to have their worldview shattered so young. And so what if we can give that to our kids? What if before they even step in a classroom at 5? And we can talk about homeschooling if you want, but that's a whole nother situation. We all don't have the luxury to be able to do that. So what if we, even before they step into a classroom at 5, we fill them. We fill them with this. We fill them with themselves, just being them, right? Create Black spaces for them. Take them to Black communities. Take them to things that if they love karate and it's diverse, but it's just not enough. Don't let that be their only socialization. Find ways to have them just be, so that they don't have to fight with anybody who says they ain't. Okay. Now, if you want to connect with us further, we have a lot of little groups you can join. We have a group for single moms. We have a group for people who are trying to unpack patterns of spirituality that were harmful. We have a page for young girls where you can get recommendations that are for tweens and teens and everything. We have a blog that is To the Black Girl Magic in You on Substack. Please connect with us. And if you want to talk to me, please just send a contact form submission to have me give you a call or an email, and we can hop on Zoom, grab some coffee, maybe fill this up with wine, whatever you want to do. I'm here, I'm available, and I am so happy you're here. Bye-bye.